Okay, here's a question. Biblical way to deal with receiving hateful reactions to your faith, politics, beliefs. So there's certainly a difference between persecution and pushback, and we need to make sure that we are distinguishing between the two. It's very easy for any type of person, but I would say Christians as well, to have a victim complex where we think anytime someone is arguing against us or pushing back against us, that we are being persecuted. It may be a form of persecution, or it may not be. It could just be people offering a different perspective. It could be people, arguing you or debating you, and that is perfectly fine. That's not necessarily them trying to, castigate you or make you feel bad about yourself or persecute you. And so I do think it's important to distinguish between those two. When Jesus talks about persecution, he says, blessed are those who are persecuted, but he is specifically talking about persecuted for following him, persecuted for being a Christian, persecuted for being a disciple of Christ. And so if someone argues with you about your politics, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're being persecuted. Now, they could take that to great lengths to where, if you're owning a business, they could try to trash your Yelp page. They could try to ruin your life. They could try to dox you. I would certainly say, if it's for your faith, that's certainly a form of persecution. And I think the way that we handle that, there are times when it's good to correct the record. If someone is slandering you, if someone is spreading a rumor about you, and it is important for you to actually publicly correct the record about this because it's causing a lot of confusion, then certainly you have the opportunity and perhaps the responsibility to do so. However, a lot of times when people are trying to mischaracterize you, lie about you, criticize you online, it's just not even worth responding to, because what they're trying to do is get your attention and to make sure that you've read the things that they're saying about you and make you feel bad. And it's just not worth investing your time into. And so what you do is that when you get criticism, first you examine it to see if it's true. Is it true what they're saying? Are you saying something that is false, or do you have the wrong perspective on something? If it's not true, then you just have to not worry about it. Your job is to glorify Christ by seeking and speaking truth in a way that is loving, in a way that is kind. There are going to be people who tone police you. No matter how you speak, no matter how gently you speak, no matter how many people tell you, wow, you're so gracious and you speak the truth in love, there are going to be people, mostly because they disagree with you, who come along and say, oh, your tone is off here, or I really wish that you would say this differently. I wish you would be a little bit softer, or maybe a little bit more agnostic on this, or be a little bit less assured and confident in this particular area. And you've just got to ignore that. You've got to ask God for wisdom, ask God to humble you. I constantly ask God to humble me and show me where I'm wrong. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to tell a lie. I don't want to misconstrue something. I don't want to manipulate my audience in any way. I don't want to let my bias say something that isn't true. So I'm constantly asking God to show me where I'm wrong, to receive criticism well, but to be able to push to the side criticism that is just not based on reality, and to focus on what he has called me to and who he says that I am. And as long as you are doing that, as long as your eyes are on Christ, as long as your hope is in heaven, not in what people say about you, for better or for worse, then you can remain confident. The Bible says that his mind is in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, whose mind is stayed on Christ. And so keep your mind stayed on Christ. Ask him to help you discern between true criticism that needs to be taken, that needs to be heeded, and criticism that is just unfounded. Help him, or ask him to help you discern between persecution and pushback, and how to react to those two things in a way that is glorifying to Christ. I certainly have not always responded in a way that is glorifying to Christ, but we ask him to sanctify us and to conform us to his image.